The following program contains names, places, and events that have been anonymized or fictionalized for the purposes of protection and safety. The following program is provided for entertainment purposes only, and any commentary from the hosts are strictly conjecture and should not be held as making any definitive statements about the truth or identity of any particular individuals or circumstances. If you or a loved one are involved in an abusive relationship, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 for support. Hello, hello, hello. It is another Monday of a new episode, and we're very excited for this. I am going to speak on behalf of Mackenzie there because she's on vacation. So she's in the episode, don't worry, but just this intro, I'm just saying hi really quick, and then we'll get to our guest who is amazing. This is going to be a really interesting, they're always interesting, but this has to do with a yoga instructor, and some of the ways that the wellness industry was able to contribute to his dog fishing, his downward dog fishing. Should we call it that? Maybe. But before we get into it, we have some really exciting news. We're launching a book club on the Patreon. Patreon is $5 a month, and we offer a lot of things on Patreon, like extra episodes. We go live with all of you. We just had a live stream that was so fun. We give you more information about episodes and like the stories if there are updates, but book club is a new addition and we want to do it. It's going to be fiction and nonfiction books. Who's into it? Who wants to read with me? So many people on Patreon said they were into it. So if you'd like to join us, we're going to start that soon. You just have to join Patreon. It's $5 a month. And then, we'll meet and talk about this book. I also would like your book recommendations. If you have any books that you love, the guest on this episode gave us a book rec, which we'll mention at the end. But any books that have helped you through your relationships or whatever you've been through, just DM us on Instagram at Dating Detectives Podcast. Yeah, it's weird not having Mackenzie. I miss her. Okay, now on to part one. I know it's a two-parter, but guys, there was so much here. I cannot wait to hear what you think. So let's get into the story.
Okay, the beautiful Nikki, will you please take us away on this journey? We're ready.
Hi.
Okay, my story begins when I took a yoga teacher training with my boyfriend at the time and fell in love with yoga. Yoga was amazing. It changed my life. And I decided to keep going to trainings and keep building this yoga community. I broke up with my boyfriend at the time. And 2 months later, I decided to have a birthday party. And of course, it was going to be a yoga party because that's my jam. I'm a yoga person now. Yoga's my whole life.
Of course.
So I have this yoga party for my birthday and I invite everyone I know. And this guy messages me on Facebook and says, "Hey, I can't come to your birthday party, but would you like to come hang out with me and have tea sometime? I have an office right across the street from where you teach yoga." Which doesn't sound creepy at all.
You didn't know him?
I had met him at a yoga training. He was another yoga teacher, but I had never hung out with him or spent time with him.
Got it.
Just knew him as part of the community.
Okay.
And I was really gracious. I thought it was a nice invitation, and I ultimately did not accept and never went over to see him. But he keeps messaging me on Facebook, and he invites me to go dancing in Portland. I had a New Year's resolution that I wanted to dance this year because I had always felt really insecure about my dancing and embarrassed to dance in public, and I wanted to overcome it.
Good for you.
It felt really serendipitous and in alignment to go out dancing. I'm like, sure, that sounds great. And then a day later, I have this anxiety attack. I'm like, who is this guy? Why am I going dancing with him? I don't even know this guy. And I'm going to go meet him downtown and go dance. And so I was in this fitness course and I asked one of my friends who knew him. She had done her teacher training with him. And she said, "Oh yeah, he's great. He's got great music. He takes care of himself. He's a nice guy. Like, you're fine." And I said, okay. So I went. I'm in this really dark dance hall. Like, this is just dancing. There's no alcohol. There's no drinks. This is purely just dancing. And this man walks in and he's tall and he's dark and he's handsome. Like every romance novel, it's this guy.
Of course.
I'm imagining now like the yoga. This sounds like a an erotic novel, like The Yoga Teacher.
It could be an amazing
Like
novel.
on Dipsy.
Yeah, literally.
He's tall, he's handsome, he's spiritual, he's strong, he's got a six-pack.
Nice.
So he comes in and says hi, and we have a couple of dances. I took the lesson beforehand, so I was practicing some new moves. I'm obviously really bad at it. It's partner dancing.
Wait, I love this. This is so cute. Is it like ballroom, like, or line dancing?
Kind of. This was a type of dancing where you fused a bunch of styles together, but it's all about being led. So the man leads you and you follow.
Okay.
So you're doing twirls and dips, and it's really fun. So we have a couple dances, and he says, okay, now it's time for you to go off and dance with other people, because you're really only supposed to dance with one person for one dance and then switch partners. And that's how the partner dance culture works. So I do that all night. I'm like dancing with people. It's amazing. I'm having so much fun. I'm being twirled around. And the dance is over. And he walks me to my car, which is very chivalrous, very gentlemanly.
Yes, of course.
And we just start talking. And we talk for hours. I'm talking like we're in downtown. It's dark. It's quiet. Nobody's there. And we're just talking. And we end up sitting in my car. We end up starting to get closer. He puts his arm around me. We end up making out. It's like magical. And I have all the butterflies.
I have all the butterflies.
I know, right? Like, I don't like this.
I'm just like, wow, where did this guy come from? He talked to me about how he had kids and his wife was separated from him. They're in the process of a divorce. And she came over sometimes. The kids lived with him. And it was really a precedent for our relationship because it was telling me, hey, I'm a full-time dad. I'm busy. I'm committed to my kids. I am a good co-parent. I allow her to come over and see the kids whenever she wants. And the other thing that became clear on this first date was that Johnny was very wealthy. He told me on the first night how he had like 5 cars. And I remember making fun of him because I'm a yogi. I'm like, why do you need 5 cars? That's stupid. That's ridiculous. That is a waste of resources. That is not environmentally friendly. I had all these opinions about it because I was not attached to money like that. I was so spiritual when I met him. And he mirrored this with me and agreed. He's like, yeah, it is a waste. And, you know, we don't need all these material possessions. And I keep trying to tell people this. And, you know, he had all this wealth, but he didn't spend the money. So overall, just a really amazing first date where I felt like he got me and understood me. And it just felt like a movie. And the next day, he texts me. He's like, hey, why don't you come to my office? Same question as before. And this time I'm like, heck yes, I'm coming to your office. So we go upstairs. He has this private room and we just hang out and talk. And it's really sweet. And I am just like, I like this guy a lot. I continue talking to him every single day. Text messages, phone calls. We hang out almost every day. Not for long periods of time, for like an hour or so. And I end up just falling head over heels. Like I can't eat. I can't sleep.
Oh,
I'm so excited.
You.
I even ended up with hickeys on my neck. I didn't even know.
Oh!
Roommate's like,
They're like, why are you wearing a turtleneck to yoga?
you just wear your hair in a braid on one side.
There you go. That's a
smart.
hack.
That's smart.
Hickey hack. So it's amazing. I am falling head over heels for him.
Have you ever wondered how much of your personal data is out on the internet for anybody to see? I think you can assume that it's a lot, but it's even more than you think, like your name, your contact info, social security number, your address, even information about your family members. It's all being compiled by data brokers, and then they sell your information online. And that can be scary because you can get in issues with identity theft, harassment, stalking, doxing. Obviously, we talk about so much of this. Privacy really matters. So that's why we really love Delete Me and are glad that we can talk about Delete Me as a supporter of this podcast. So Delete Me is a subscription service that removes your personal info from hundreds of data brokers. How it works, you sign up and you provide Delete Me with exactly what information you want deleted, and their experts just take it from there. And it's not a one-time thing. It sends you regular personalized privacy reports to show what info they found, where they found it, what they removed. And yeah, delete me is not just one time. It's always working for you. It's constantly monitoring, removing personal information that you don't want on the internet. And to put it simply, delete me does all the hard work of wiping your and your family's personal information from data broker websites. There's a lot out there. I think a lot of people don't know it. I personally recommend Delete Me. It's been fantastic, especially just having so much online growing up in a world where I didn't even think about what I was putting online. I learned so much getting their report, and then I just feel better about myself. Like I feel like I have privacy online and don't have to worry about it as much. It's just been a good first step to protecting myself. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. And now at a special discount for our listeners. Today, get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/TDD and use promo code TDD at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/TDD and enter code TDD at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/TDD, code TDD.
We keep hanging out, and he's really attentive. Like, he's texting me all the time. He's calling me all the time. We can't see each other all the time because he is a dad and he has children.
Oh,
Okay.
And he is running a business. So I don't care. I'm like, you're cool. I'm doing my own thing. I've got my own friends and things. So we'll hang out when we can hang out. But we talk every single day. And then I didn't realize what an orgasm was, but I figured it out because he showed me, and that was like
nice.
mind-blowing.
Okay. Nice.
I'm glad you said that. I don't know if you're like exaggerating or not, but I feel like more people need to hear that it's very normal to like have inconsistent relationships with orgasms. And
So I'd never had one.
yeah,
Never,
that's
ever.
very normal.
So this guy is like my favorite person in the world now.
Yeah, that's power. That
Yes.
Yeah.
whole new world.
Hello.
A whole new
Wait,
world.
I'm sorry. I just want to get quick details out of the way. How old were both of you at this point in 2012?
Okay, so I am 27 and he is 44.
Okay. So he's older, but like hot older.
Hot older.
Did it feel like a lot older, or did you feel similar age?
I didn't know he was older. He looked so young. So when he told me, by the time he had told me, it didn't matter because I was so into him. He had this really playful personality and this really soft side. Like, he had this really powerful, strong demeanor and energy to him, but he could be so playful and soft.
Oh,
and kind.
that's so sexy to have both. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Masculine, but still like
I mean,
soft
that feels
and-
like that sums yoga up, where they're like taking deep breaths while also doing like handstands and stuff. Like, ooh,
I
the
love
duality of man.
And I felt like I was his safe place. He had to go and be in these leadership roles and all these things in his household, right? Because he's a dad at his work, because he, runs the business and in the studio. But I was this place where he could let his walls down and be taken care of and nurtured and loved. And so I felt really special and honored. And I had never, ever dated a guy like this. Not a guy that was older, not a guy that had this much wealth and professional stature. So it was a really exotic experience for me. He's also foreign. He's not from this country.
Oh,
he
does he
moved
have an
here.
accent?
Yes.
Stop that right now.
I would fall asleep listening to him talk.
No wonder she had an orgasm. Accents are so sexy.
They are, and like his, like, to be honest, when I first met him, I couldn't always understand everything he was saying.
Oh, that's so funny. I love
You're like,
that.
you're cute. That's okay. I don't know what you're saying, but
I'm like, I don't care what you're
it's
saying. Just
okay.
keep talking. Just keep talking.
Oh my gosh. Wait, what kind of accent? Or give us the region even if you don't.
European. A European accent.
Oh, okay.
I would literally fall asleep on the phone talking to him because we would usually talk at night.
I love that so much. I miss those days. Sometimes I want my husband to go downstairs and just like talk to me on the phone. We can just talk all night.
Oh, I love that.
Hmm.
It reminds me of dating. I love that.
Yeah.
So, amazing connection. It feels really good. There's a lot of mystery to him, and I'm really excited to get to know him. But he keeps me at arm's distance because he says he's got a lot going on, and he starts to tell me, like, you're going to be resentful of me because I don't have the time to give you. Because he could come over and hang out for a couple hours, but he'd have to go back home. He could never stay the night. We would be cuddling in bed, and then he'd be like, I have to go. And I'm like,
Because the kids?
Because of the kids, yeah.
How old were the kids?
At the time, I want to say 7 to 19 in age.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's reason to go home. Okay.
Yeah. So
Wait, how many? Just 2, or there were some in between? 7 and
5.
19. 5 kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so many kids. And was he alone with them? Like had sole custody, or was he like?
So he told me that they split custody and that he didn't honestly talk about it too much in the beginning. So I knew they were at home. He said their mom came and visited them and they lived with him because he had the big house. And, there wasn't a lot of talk about it. And to be fair, I didn't really know much about parenting dynamics. I grew up in a household where there was just one parent. So I didn't really know how parents shared. And I was a daddy's girl. So seeing him be a dad to daughters, I was like, oh my gosh, this just feels so resonant for me in my life.
Sure, of course. I could see how you could relate to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So eventually we started hanging out at his house a little bit, and I met his kids, and they were so perfectly behaved. Like, they were respectful, polite, they were intelligent, they were gorgeous, well dressed.
Oh,
They just had this image of this perfect, beautiful family that worked together, that respected each other. There was no like fighting. Like, I was a very ornery teenager and I argued a lot with my dad and I was a spitfire. And these kids were not. They were so respectful and they listened to what their dad said. And I was so impressed with how he parented. It looked so amazing. And I thought he was doing a great job.
Especially meeting a dad's girlfriend. That would be a time where they might put up an attitude.
Well, I was his friend when they met me.
Okay.
Because we weren't in boyfriend-girlfriend status.
So there wasn't a lot of pressure really, right?
No. If anything, I was the one who kept trying to move the relationship forward because I wanted more. And he was giving me enough to keep me he was giving me enough to keep me nibbling, but never gave me the full meal.
Yeah, I was going to say, him just saying you're a friend is like, I understand he could spin that in taking it slow with the kids, but it's also a little bit like, well, that kind of diminishes my relationship with you, but okay.
I mean, I understood. I trusted him. I was so grateful to be there. I tried my best to treat all the kids kindly, and when they had birthdays, I would get them gifts and I'd really think about them. Like, I would run to 5 different stores trying to find the perfect thing and put it together. And I really wanted them to like me and I really wanted their respect. And so I worked really hard at that. So when we first met, we took a couple trips. We went to Seattle, Washington, and we car camped. We ever car camped?
What does that mean?
Were you sleep in your
sleep in the car?
I have not, but my boyfriend has, and he likes it. And I'm like,
I did that one time in high school with my best friend because we told our parents that we'd be staying at each other's house, and then we ended up going to a party and not having a place to sleep.
You're like, guess we're car camping.
So yes, I've car camped. I understand.
So fun. We car camped, and it wasn't because he couldn't afford a hotel. It was because he didn't want to spend money on a hotel. And I noticed this overall. We never went to fancy meals. We honestly would pack food wherever we went because we didn't want to go out and buy food. He was always talking about money. This wasn't a relationship where I'm being taken care of and, he's buying me things everywhere we go. It was very much so frugal and we don't spend money. And then he would shock my system with a really expensive gift for Christmas out of nowhere. And not every Christmas, just once in a while, where it was $1,000 worth of jewelry, which is not something I'd ever had before. And it was shocking coming from him because he's
like, we can't get a hotel.
Yes. Someone had wrote a review about him as an employer. They were like, he's so tight with money that when he holds a nickel, the buffalo poops.
Oh my God.
Hilarious.
That
was how he was.
Brilliant.
He would not spend money on anything. He would complain about every bill and anything that the kids wanted. It was no, this is too much money. Everything was too much money. So kept spending time together. We kept going to dance. We would talk on the phone all the time. But like I said, he kept me at arm's length. So it was hard to get time, like long periods of time with him. And sometimes it would be like a week or two and I wouldn't see him. But we'd still be talking every day. Like he would always call me every day and check in on me every day, but I couldn't see him. And so there was a lot of nights where I was lonely and like wanting to see him and I couldn't because I had such deep, intense feelings for him. So one day it was before dance and I said, oh, can we get together before dance? Can we go to dinner? And he's like, no, I'm busy. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then I show up at dance and he shows up with this girl named Maddie.
What?
Yes.
Who? Okay, carry on.
So he says, oh, she's just a friend. We used to date and we kissed, but we're just friends now.
Oh, here we go. Okay, there it is.
Out.
So
Don't like that.
I talked to her and she's like, yeah, we went out to dinner before dance. And I was like, oh, you did? Okay. So I ended things that night. I said, no way.
Nikki.
Bye.
Yes.
Because
Goodbye.
he doesn't have time for me, but he has time for her. Fuck that. I'm
Right?
out. Like,
Yeah, no, it's weird.
I no longer trusted him.
Okay, quick break. Sometimes listening to the dating detectives makes me hungry. Can you relate? I want to stress eat, but I don't have time to make all these extravagant meals or go grocery shopping as much as I'd like to. And sometimes I just need Hungry Root, and Hungry Root's a sponsor and we love them. And you know that we love them if you've been listening. And genuinely, I'm obsessed because I think their system is so good. So in terms of meal planning, grocery shopping, and cooking, Hungry Root's going to make it so much less of a hassle. You spend less time doing all of that, more time doing what you love, and plenty of time eating really yummy foods, especially if you have to stress eat through a story like today's. So Hungry Root is the easiest way that I've ever used to eat healthy on one of these subscription services. And they send you fresh, high quality groceries, simple, delicious recipes, essential supplements, anything. Like it's like you're grocery shopping, and it's a point system. So there are recipes for a meal that you can sub things out. It'll be like, oh, this recipe comes with broccoli for 1 point. And you're like, maybe I don't like broccoli. Maybe I want cauliflower. That's the same amount of points. Let me just switch them. And then there's also snacks. I got a lot of great like pre-made protein drinks last time I did it. That made my life so much easier because I am just always in my car and on the go. And I loved having them in my fridge. And I also wouldn't have thought to buy them for myself. Like there's a lot of really great options that Hungry Root recommends to me that I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that existed. And now it's my new favorite. I've tried a couple of recipes. The fajitas was the biggest hit. I made that for my friends from Hungry Root because it was great. But I also it was kind of more gourmet because I was using ingredients that I wouldn't have thought to buy, but I didn't use too many of them because they only sent me the amount that was needed for the recipe. So always makes it easier. And I think you save a lot of money in addition to time. Hungry Root gets to know your personal health goals, your dietary restrictions, your favorite foods, how much time you want to spend cooking, and more. And then they just build you a personalized cart with all your grocery needs for the week, including easy 4-ingredient recipes to put those groceries to use. 4-ingredient recipes, nothing too complicated, which is good for someone like me. Fully customizable order, like I said. It's a point system. It's so easy. And they have fresh produce, high quality meat and seafood, healthy snacks, smoothies, sweets, ready to eat meals, kids snacks and meals, vitamins, supplements, so much more. You have to go look for yourself. Everything from Hungry Root follows a simple standard. It's got to taste good. It's got to be made quick and contain whole trusted ingredients. Right now, Hungry Root is offering the Dating Detective listeners 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/TDD to get 40% off your first delivery and get your free veggies. That's hungryroot.com/TDD. And don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you. All of that will be in the show notes. And I honestly can't get over how good that offer is. So let me know if you get anything yummy.
So I deleted his number out of my phone. I was pissed. I didn't talk to him. He called me every day and I ignored his call. He'd sometimes call me several times in a day. I ignored him. I memorized his phone number because the numbers kept coming up on my phone over and over again. But I was like, nope, I'm not answering it. So a week goes by, I show up to dance. And of course, he shows up too. But I ignore him. I don't even look at him. I'm like, whatever, we're done. Because when I get mad, I get mad. So he asked me to dance halfway through the dance. And I'm like, I roll, fine. And I dance and I'm like a stiff robot. I'm not relaxed. I'm just trying to get through it to move on because it's one dance. We switch partners every dance.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever, this is fine.
This is like a movie. I'm imagining it and loving it.
The song ends and he doesn't let go of my hands. The next song starts and he starts dancing with me again. And I'm like, I roll again, but fine. So I dance with him again. Remember, we're supposed to switch off every single song. So the song ends. The next song comes on. He doesn't let go. And I'm starting to relax a little bit. I'm starting to breathe a little bit. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to enjoy dancing with him because he's a really good dancer and he smells really good. And I'm here and this is just
so we're just going to go with it. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm going to stop resisting. Whatever. We're going to dance and have a good time. So I do that dance. And then he's like, can we talk outside? And I was like, oh no.
About Maddie.
So we go outside and he apologizes. And he says he's really sorry and he really wants to see me and he just realized how much he cares about me. And this guy is so charming and so eloquent. And again, he's a really strong man. So to see him get sensitive and sweet is really touching. And he's got the accent.
And he's got the accent.
I say, fine, we'll give it another shot. So we do. And this is in probably July. So this is 2 months in. So August rolls around and we take a trip to this festival. And he gets a call during the festival and his whole demeanor changes and he gets really like tense. I'm like, what's wrong? Are you okay? And he said he's having a problem with work. And I kind of looked at him cockeyed because it was a weekend. He has an office job that he does Monday through Friday. And this is when he shares with me that, well, being a professional entrepreneur and a yoga teacher, he also grows cannabis.
Oh boy. Okay.
But he didn't tell you that?
He told me that. And I'm like, okay, no big deal, right? Because I have a history with cannabis. I've worked in the cannabis industry. I've worked in cannabis clubs. I don't see it as like this really awful, horrible thing. I see it as like a plant people use medicinally.
Right.
I don't smoke it.
This is 2012. I'm trying to like put in
2013.
2013. Yeah. So we're like, it's decriminalized more places, but it's not like how it is now.
And how long are we into this now? This
is now 3 months in.
Okay.
But remember, like it's hot wired. We have been talking a lot since the start.
Sure, yeah.
And
totally.
He has given me my first and many orgasms. So I'm like oxytocin's high, the chemical cocktail in the brain, the dopamine. Like I see him and I think that man is pleasure, right? So, and I want to prove my loyalty to him because he keeps telling me how hard he is to date. And I'm like, it's okay. I'm here. I got this. I'll be there for you. So he kind of slips this in like, oh, I have this business and something happened. And I'm like, okay, like no big deal. And I share with him, you know, what I've gone through. And he's like, oh, wow, maybe you could help me with some of this stuff sometime. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So time goes by and he says, you know, I see you and you do all these yoga jobs, but you really don't have any professional experience. Johnny had told me that my family didn't set me up for success. They didn't teach me about finances. They didn't encourage me to go to college. And it was really a shame. And he said that for me to be able to create a really lucrative career for myself, I needed more experience in an office environment or a professional environment. And at the time, I had experience working in a head shop, in a restaurant, cafes. Like I did not have any professional experience. And he said, why don't you come and help me with marketing? Just a couple hours a week, just so we can get that on your resume. We can get you some experience and it'll help you out. And then we can spend time together, have lunch together. And I'm like, sure, why not? I'll help you with whatever you want. Because I mean, I am a very doting partner. I love the people I'm with and I'm happy to help them with things. And I just feel that's how reciprocal relationships work. And so I started going to his office a little bit. He's like, I really want to help you. And we would be able to spend more time together if you came in and worked for me in my office.
Okay.
And you could get some experience and, you know, this could help you because you don't want to do yoga forever, right? You'll never have a career that way. And I'm like, okay, right? He's trying to help me out, trying to teach me some of his officey things. I mean, this guy is very successful. So I'm heeding the example of like, he wants to help me be successful too. That's really cool. So I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity. So I volunteer in his office.
Just volunteer? You're not getting paid?
No, I'm not getting paid. Just a
Aw.
couple hours a week, is how it starts. But then it starts to be coming in every day, and I'm bringing him lunch. It's fun. It's fun. We do everything together when we can.
Yeah.
So it's so much fun. And then he decides to bring me into his cannabis world. So he takes me to meet his partners, and we go to these clubs. And one time we're out at this club, and I'm the accessory, right? I'm the girl on his arm. I'm meant to be quiet and seen, but not heard. I'm excited because he has he wants someone to drive down with him because it's a couple hours away and we can spend time together. And, I just want to spend time with him wherever I can get it because it's so hard to get it. And we don't get back till 4 in the morning, 4:30. It's like dawn. And I pass out in bed. And then I wake up at 11 o'clock and I've got 5 missed calls from him. And I'm like, oh my God, something's wrong. And I call him back and he says, where are you? And I'm like, I'm in bed. He says, you're supposed to be at the office at 8 a.m. And I'm like, we got home at 4. He's like, I'm here. You should be here.
Honey.
And we got into this fight where he kind of went off on me. And I hang up the phone in shock. I'm supposed to be at the office?
In order to have set hours, you're usually supposed to also have a thing called a paycheck.
Right. I'm a volunteer.
Kind of works.
So it's our first fight.
I don't like it.
And that night he calls me and he apologizes. And he says, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have reacted like that. And I'm like, oh, thank God we're not fighting anymore. Okay, it's over. Cool. We can move on. But that was my first time I ever saw him get angry. I bring that up because there's these little things that happen that I should have paid attention to, but I didn't. The first was obviously him telling me he's not available and the girl comes in with him and they had dinner, which I heeded, but then I rescinded because, hormones and attraction.
Yeah,
and
of course.
This one was the intensity of the anger for the action didn't seem to match. It was an innocent mistake. I didn't know I was supposed to expected to be there to help him out 4 hours after we got home. So anyway, we move on. And in September, he makes me officially his girlfriend.
Okay.
So May, June, July, August. It's 4 months later. So now I'm coming around more. I go to the house more. I'm basically going to the house and helping him with work. Because if I want to spend time with him, he says, that's fine. You can come over and see me, but we're cleaning the house today, or we're doing yard work today. And he's got a big house, a big property, lots of yard work. So I would come over and spend 6 hours doing work with him.
And your kids, are they around?
Yeah, they're doing the work too. So they do everything as a family.
I'm imagining the Von Trapp family from Sound of Music.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
With the whistles. He's like, let's go.
It seems really sweet. Everybody works together and they take care of the house together. They don't have cleaners or landscapers. They do everything themselves. So they're weeding. Today we're working on the pool. Today we're cleaning the inside. Today we're going to the office and doing work. It was just everybody had to help. They were part of the collective family effort. It was just everybody had to help. And it seemed crazy to me, but he's like, this is how generational wealth works. He says, you don't understand because you're from a lower class. We're a higher class family. We create wealth so we can share it with ourselves. And our kind of culture works together. And because we work together, we create wealth. This is why white people have it wrong. They don't work together. They just all go do their own thing. They don't follow in the family businesses and stuff like that.
So he he kind of said, you don't get it.
Yeah.
He othered you. Yeah. Interesting.
And so he's like, if you want to be part of this family, you have to be part of the collective effort. And I was sold on that. He introduced his way of thinking in the very beginning. I remember that first night we talked for hours by the car about how in his culture there's a head of household and everybody respects the head of household and they take on the family as responsibility. And what a beautiful system it is and how that's how he grew up and that's how his family is now. And he's head of household and he takes care of everyone. And he said, white people don't work like this. It's so different. And it was so romanticized to me. And I signed up for it. I thought, this is great. We all work together and we have one person that we all trust and voted in to make all the decisions. That's awesome. And so I'm coming and helping them out. And I'm hoping it shows them like, look, I support you. I support your dad. I'm not here to distract from what you guys are doing. I'm here to come and help and be a part of what you have going on.
I don't think we realize how gross traditional bed sheets can get. Traditional bed sheets can harbor more bacteria than a toilet seat, which is delightful. It can also lead to acne and allergies and stuffy noses. I think we're getting into allergy season right now, but if you're like, why isn't this going away? Could have something to do with your sheets, believe it or not. It's just gross. So Miracle Made offers a whole line of self-cleaning antibacterial bedding, such as sheets, pillowcases, comforters, that prevent up to 99.7% of bacteria growth. And they require up to 3 times less laundry. It's like self-cleaning sheets. Guys, we love Miracle Made. They're also temperature regulating, and it's the coolest technology. Their sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabric. So it's like, you know, I just assume that astronauts are using the same material that my sheets are, but they just made the sheets a little softer. I don't know. Maybe an astronaut has a really soft suit. That's not for me to know, but I do know that Miracle Made is kind of game changing because I used to sweat so much and now I don't when I sleep, which is really lovely for me and my boyfriend. But yeah, so they're self cleaning, like we said, bacterial growth, disgusting, but it's just going to feel cleaner and fresher, and you have to do less laundry, which we love. Temperature regulating, better sleep. It's just you're gonna love them. Designed for your skin, not gonna get acne, not gonna clog your pores. And then comfort, quality, they're luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands. So it feels just as nice or nicer than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. Like they're really, really good sheets. You should try them and let us know what you think. Go to trymiracle.com/TDD to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo TDD at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle's so confident in their product that it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you are not 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/TDD and use the code TDD to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/TDD to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode, and we will put all that information in the show notes. Now back to the story.
So we keep dating, and then a couple months later, he's like, I think you should grow cannabis for me.
Oh, boy.
And I'm like,
Like at your house?
So
not sure.
I had smoked cannabis for a long time, but I had quit before I met him. And so I wasn't like afraid of cannabis by any means, but I was really proud of myself for not smoking anymore. And I didn't really want to be around it. Like I didn't mind helping him out a little bit, but this was like a big ask for me.
And he knew that you were sober at this point.
He did, but he also knew that my dad smoked cannabis. And my dad he's on disability, like he doesn't have a lot of money. And so for him, he uses it medicinally and it's hard for him to get it. So he's like, we could have your dad give us his spare bedroom and you could grow cannabis in it. And then we'll give him cannabis every month. It'll help him out. We'll pay for the electricity bills. We'll pay for the build out. You're just going to go check on it every once in a while.
Oh,
and I'm
my
like,
God.
Why did he,
That's a
if
big
he's
ask.
a huge ask, and I'm like, what was his justification of that? Was it kind of like, I want to help you get this business going? Because it sounds like his business is doing fine. Why does he need you to do that?
In his business, he was at an investor level and he had been helping, but he wanted to do more. He wanted to get in more. He wanted to make more out of it. He wanted to understand it more.
Okay.
So I said,
Wow, okay.
I talked to my dad, and my dad's really a very gentle, giving man. And so if it's an idea that I have, he will support it usually. So we do this. We turn his spare bedroom into a grow room, which is fun. And my job is to manage it. So every day I'm checking it. Sometimes I'm there twice a day. I'm working in there sometimes hours a day.
Wow.
And I'm doing all this and hiding it from my roommates at the time because my roommates are both in recovery. They would not have supported this. They're
oh my God.
recovered alcoholics. So this is like my secret life that I'm now in. and hiding it from my friends because I can't tell my friends about this guy and like the things he does. And so as I'm spending time with him, I'm distancing myself from the people in my life because I clearly can't tell them what I'm doing. And if I'm talking to them all the time and they're like, what'd you do today? I can't be like, set up a nursery and trimmed plants and cloned, and I can't tell them all that. So.
And did he know that you were like, did you ever say to him, like, don't mention this to my roommates? Like, did he know you were kind of keeping this a secret?
He's a very private person. So
he should be.
Yeah. So I knew everything he was exposing me to was private and I wasn't to tell anybody. Even my dad was kind of on a need to know basis with what we were doing in the bigger scheme of things. And I was so committed to this guy. I mean, they have this term ride or die. Mm-hmm. That was me. I would do anything he asked me to. I trusted him. I loved him fiercely. I believed in him. I believed that I belonged with him.
And you were 27 and he was 44.
I was 27. It felt spiritual. And so
Did you trust him a little bit more because of his age, because he was so much older? Did that lead you to trust him a little bit more?
Absolutely. He was successful.
Yeah.
He had a lot more than I'd ever seen anybody have in my life. I felt like I could trust his decisions. He was educated. He was well-spoken. And his family was so tight-knit. I mean, it just seemed like he knew how to live life. And I wanted to learn all the secrets from him. Mm-hmm. So I start this grow room. I get more involved with him and his business, and it's nothing crazy. It's like packing weed into bags, right? It's nothing nuts. And then he decides he wants to build a big shop and grow more. And so I help him do that. I come over and we work like 12 hours a day building this shop. And we do this for months and months and months and months. This is just an ongoing big project. So come to find out, after dating him for like 4 or 5 months, his ex-wife is they aren't officially divorced.
Oh boy, there it is.
And she lives in the house with him.
Okay. That's like, yeah. Wait, so where was she when you were there around the kid? I have so many questions.
Yeah, so many questions.
So she works graveyards.
Oh, convenient.
So he'd have me come over when she was at work. When he first told me about her, he said she comes to the house sometimes. Sometimes she'll come over and sleep over, but it's a big house. There's a lot of bedrooms. He's like, she has her own room that she stays in when she needs to. She brings the clothes she needs. She comes to see the kids. We want to keep the kids in one home. So it made sense to me, like, okay, she has her own house, but she comes over to see her kids and spend time with them. She works a funky schedule, so it's better to have the kids with him because she's working all night and he's not. So they're safe while they sleep. In my 27-year-old brain, it made sense. And so come to find out, she lives there and she doesn't have another house. They own a bunch of rentals. And as I learned more about him and spent time with the kids, I found out she makes his breakfast and his lunch and his dinner. And she does his laundry.
Oh my
God.
And you found this out just by being there? Nobody was like, actually, the truth is this. It just kind of was like, what's the problem? Or how did you find out?
It would be like little comments the kids would make, like, oh, mom makes his lunch. And I'm like, she makes his lunch?
The kids spilled the beans. Good for them.
So, yeah, and they would just like add little details. And I started to understand why they didn't like me so much, because they didn't like me at all. And I didn't know why, because I tried so hard to be so nice to them. And it's because I'm this girl coming over when their mom's not home, hanging out. Like, I would cook food and they would refuse to eat it.
Because they were like, you're not my mom.
Right.
So he just had you over his house all willy-nilly with the kids and told the kids, this is my friend, Nikki. Like, what the hell?
Did you guys ever kiss in front of them?
No.
You never did anything touchy?
In fact, he didn't allow me to do any PDA with him in public ever.
Because he didn't want to get caught.
Yeah. So.
What? Wait, does the wife know about the weed?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I do know that they were separated. They got divorced the following summer. So, and he said they'd been separated for 7 years. This is just easier. The house is so big, they never see each other. Like, this is what I was told in the beginning. And it is a big house. Like, it's easy to be in a separate part of the house and you can't even hear what's happening on the other end of the house.
Yeah.
But as I got to know the family better, I realized like she is doing everything for him. And he's just hanging out with me and doing all of his things. And I felt bad. I was like, oh.
It's icky. That's very icky.
So they decide it's time for her to move out. And the next day he has me over. And it's like the first time I get to stay the night. And then I stay the next night. And then I was staying every night except for like 1 day a week.
Okay.
Because we had work to do. We had work to do early, like 6 a.m. So it just made sense for me to stay there.
Oh my God.
He moves his ex-wife out. I meet her for the first time after she moves out. And I'm so nervous. I've never met her before. And I had pulled up to come help him with whatever work we were doing that day. Because most of what we did was centered around work. In the beginning, it wasn't. We were taking trips together. We were hanging out. We were doing fun things. But then it slowly started to be like, we just do. He works a lot, so I'm helping him with work a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'm like his right-hand man, if you will. So I meet her and I'm so nervous. And she walks out and I've heard from him, she's crazy. She's, just all these things about her. And I'm nervous to meet her. I'm like, is she going to psycho out on me? I meet this woman. She is, first of all, gorgeous. So collected. She's got the same dreamy, beautiful accent. She's so kind, so polite, so respectful, and shakes my hand and like, hi, this is my name. It looks like we're going to be seeing more of each other. And I'm so impressed with her. I'm like, this woman's amazing.
Ah,
what?
Date her.
This is weird.
And I was like, wow, why does he say she's crazy? But anyway, so a couple months of this me staying 6 days a week happens. And then in January, late December, he's like, you know what? Why don't you just move in? You're spending money on rent. You're here most of the time anyway, so it just makes sense to move in. And I say, okay. Because why wouldn't I want to move in? I'm in love with this man.
Yeah.
He's amazing. I love our life together. This just feels like the right direction to go. So I move in with him. I have like nothing. He has like a whole house that's fully furnished. So I just bring my clothes and some things that are important to me, but that's all I got. Everything is his. So I move in and the kids are not happy, but they respect their dad's decision.
That's fair, I guess. So now he really has broken up with the wife.
Yeah, apparently they broke up 7 years earlier, but just lived together. I don't know how that worked out, but so yeah, she's living in a different house. The kids are going to her house sometimes and with us sometimes. And I'm the new making breakfast, lunch, and dinner person, doing the laundry person, cleaning the house.
Did you like that role though? Like taking care of your man and the kids and like
I did. I grew up with just a dad. I didn't have a mom. And I'd always wanted to be in a family dynamic. And I was so grateful to be a part of this family. And I felt lucky and blessed. And I felt chosen. And I felt I was chosen because of my heart and my kindness by him and my dedication and loyalty. Like I felt like it was this really beautiful, special place I was given in their life and their family dynamic and this trust. And I didn't want to disrespect it. I wanted to be loyal to him and supportive. And we were building a life together. I mean, I'm in love with this man. I will do whatever he needs. Mm-hmm. And so I go into this role and we're doing all the things. And then a month later, like 6 weeks later, we're walking out to go to work. And I'm like, man, I don't feel right. I feel kind of nauseous. He's like, are you pregnant? And I was.
Hey, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
How did that feel? Were you happy, shocked?
I was in shock. I wasn't one of those kids that grew up like, oh, I want to have kids. This is so important to me. But I wasn't against it either. I was just kind of like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's fine. But I took a pregnancy test the next morning. And when I told him, he's just like laughing. He's like, oh, shite, or whatever. So,
oh, shite.
Oh, Jiminy Crickets.
So,
oh, Spice Girls.
Now we're having a baby. And we're trying to hide it from the kids at first because that's what you do because chances of miscarriage are high. The first 10 weeks, every woman knows you don't tell people. You just wait to make sure everything is viable. So I'm like hiding my belly and hiding that I'm nauseous and we keep moving through life, but this is in the back of our mind. Meanwhile, his business starts ramping up. So then he asked me to start a trucking company, and now he
Mhm.
is transporting large amounts of cannabis across state lines. So we would go buy these cars using fake names, and we'd have to show up as like this couple. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I have questions now because
I
I was
have
like
so many.
unclear on the legality.
it's not legal.
None of it's legal. Okay.
No.
Because I was like, maybe he's doing like the medicinal thing. No, at this point, it's all okay. Well, that's scary.
This is not legal. It has been explained to me, though, that to make good money, you kind of got to do some shady shit sometimes.
Just in general, he says this?
That's not how he would say it. This is how I'm saying it. He would explain it much more proper and nice and make it sound very
Of course, to make it sound better.
It was something about how to live in this class of lifestyle where you have these kinds of things and live in this kind of house, you have to be able to afford it. And to afford it, sometimes you have to make business moves. And that he doesn't believe in the authority of the government and their rules. And he is doing things his own way in a way that feels right to him and his morals and ethics, right? So
well, that's not going to hold up in court, but go off.
No, it won't.
Honey.
But he has a lot of money for an attorney, right?
Yeah.
And they're doing it as low risk as possible, right? The cars are owned by fake people.
Oh, wow.
So if anything happens and they go after the owner of the car doesn't actually exist. And these cars are bought with cash. They're bought on car lots. Like, they're just going to remember this guy and this girl, and this is kind of what they look like.
Obviously, when you first met him, you probably wouldn't have agreed to be part of this. Like, at this point, you're almost like groomed into trusting him. Like, what made you feel differently?
Grooming is a great word because at this point, he held me entirely. He gave me what we were doing for the day, the list. So when we started the trucking company, he just came to me and asked me to set it up. It wasn't like a big, long conversation. I was so used to getting random jobs from him. Sometimes it would be research this person and find out where they live. Sometimes it would be, find out the best contractor for this job, and I was so used to getting tasks that opening a trucking company, it was like, oh, okay. And it was just on my list of things to do. I mean, I was just his assistant in a way. Whatever he needed, I did. Whatever food he wanted, I made. Whatever the kids needed, I did. I was running around making sure I did all the things I was supposed to do, and I was following his leadership.
You were his assistant.
In many ways, because we're not just talking the side business. I'm also working with him in his office. I'm working with him in his home. I'm working with him on the grounds. I'm helping him now manage his rentals because his ex-wife is out of the picture. To be honest, so much of that part of my life is fuzzy because there was so much going on every day. And I also was sleep deprived most of that time because we'd worked so long and so hard and get up and do it all over again. There wasn't a lot of rest and reset.
Are you making any money, income, salary?
No.
Nothing. Okay.
Nothing. Well, I'm still teaching yoga.
But nothing from the work you're doing with him. You're not on the payroll.
We're still volunteering.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, I'm living with him, and he's like, look, you can live in this house with me.
Yeah.
But you can't afford half these bills, right? This is a huge house. The bills are high. I couldn't. That's the honest truth. I could not afford a lifestyle that he did from teaching yoga.
Sure.
And he's like, work with me, help me out. You're helping the family out, and I will take care of you. I will make sure you have the food you need, the clothes you need, all the things. It's like, you pay for the food. So I bought the food, and he took care of everything else.
That makes it really hard to leave if you're
I didn't know that at the time.
On someone. Of course not. And you're not it's hard.
It's hard because I love him and I'm in this family dynamic and I'm in this house that I've never, you have to remember, like, this house, the bedroom was like as big as like houses I've lived in. Like, it was this lifestyle that was, I can only tell you 2 times in the whole 5 years I lived there that I ever felt like I was at home. I felt like I was in his home and I needed to keep everything going and make sure I was acting right. So
a lot of people will relate to that, I think.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I quit some of my yoga jobs. I didn't quit all of them, but I quit most of them because I was doing more and more work for him. And now I'm having his baby. And so this man is going to provide for me and my child now. Like, we're a family. Like, we are a unit. I am devoted. Whatever we need to do, I will do. So we go to the car lots. We're buying cars. Because he wanted to have more control over the different aspects of the business, this other side business. And so he didn't want to trust these random companies to transport the cars. He wanted to transport the cars. So I set up an auto hauling business. And I'm talking like all the things, buying a big semi truck, getting drivers that can drive these
all
trucks.
Of that?
Yes, setting up the corporation. I mean, I was his go-to girl. And I got a lot of joy out of him giving me these really complex things to figure out and me figuring it out. I was so proud of myself. And he used to always tell me, "You're so smart. You're so good at figuring this out. I've never met anyone like you." You know, I mean,
he better keep you happy so that you'll keep doing it.
Right.
And we want to hear that stuff. And when you hear that stuff, you're like, "Oh, I'm doing a great job." And then you want to keep doing it because you like that acknowledgement kind of, right? Yeah. Is that how you felt, Nikki?
Well, yeah, especially coming from a man like him. Like, not only do I love him deeply, but he's also so successful himself. And I perceive him to be so smart and so spiritual. And so for him to see this in me feels really good.
Yes.
I so get that.
I felt like I was in this lifestyle that I was almost rescued out of. Like, I had all this potential to be great, but I was never great because I wasn't given the tools when I was a kid, or we didn't have the money, or I didn't have the support. And so he gave me an opportunity to move into a lifestyle that I had the capacity to do. I just didn't realize it would involve illegal things. But I trusted him.
Yeah, of course.
I truly trusted him. And he had said things to make me, I want to say he made me, but he had said things to me and I started to doubt my intelligence and my intuition. And I started to lean on him more. I felt like maybe I wasn't always the best at making decisions or wasn't the best at financial decisions. And, you know, I was told it wasn't my fault. My family just didn't raise me very well and they tried, but they just didn't
So kind of like, bless your heart. Let me teach you the right way.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. One of his lines to me was, "You were an MVP in the minor leagues, but now you're in the major leagues."
Oh, okay.
And now you
and he's like, follow me. He's a cult leader. He would be a good one. That's the same tactic where it's just like, I am here to guide you.
Mm-hmm. And I was primed for it. Having a childhood like that, validation and attention from others was not something I got very often. Yeah. My dad, bless his heart, was a loving dad, but he was so overworked, so exhausted, so depressed, and he was quiet and he didn't talk to me much. And he was dealing with his own stuff, which I can see as an adult, and I respect it and I love him so much. But at the time when I was a kid, I needed more and I didn't get it. And so this man was giving me everything I'd ever wanted my entire life. And all I had to do is like a little stuff with pot. I mean, that's fine. It's just pot. We're not hurting children. We're not stealing from people. It's not drugs that are going to kill people. Like,
you can excuse it away.
I could justify and make excuses because I believed in our relationship so much and I believed in the family so much that I was willing to make these kinds of compromises. And that's the way belief works. You believe something, you will work your entire world around it to justify it. And that's simple psychology.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
totally.
We're doing this. I opened a trucking company. I believed in him and I believed in the family and I believed in the life we were building. And I believed that I had to make sacrifices in my moral compass in order to stay aligned with the bigger dream. So we opened a trucking company. I am now hiring drivers. I am like the face of most of this. And we are transporting large amounts of cannabis across state lines. So this is the biggest I've ever been involved in the business. I was pregnant. I had seen his temper by now. I wasn't afraid of it, but I was aware of it. And one time we were standing outside and he asked me to go in the garage. And I said, no, I don't want to go in the garage. And he said, go in the garage or else you're moving out.
Oh,
and it was this like thing. And I was like, okay. And I went in the garage and he'd never acted like that towards me. And I'd seen him be stern in the same way with the kids. Obviously, he's not telling the kids to move out, they're his children, but I'd heard that voice before and it was the don't fuck with me voice. You're going to do this now. And so I just learned when he gets in those moods, you just don't mess with him. But I'm starting to realize the potential for disaster if I go out of line. Like, I need to make sure I'm following the rules of the family.
Leader.
Yeah. He explained it to me. In his culture, there's one head of household and that person will protect everyone and take care of everyone, but you have to respect what they say, whatever it is. They tell you to jump, you say how high. You don't ask why. And I bought into this because it was so different from how I grew up. I'd never seen it before. And his kids were amazing. Like I said, these were smart, educated, classy children that had so much going for them. Their personalities were developed. They were mature. I mean, they were unlike any kids I'd ever met before. And I thought, maybe this is just something I'm missing.
It's discipline.
In the moment, I was open-minded to this. So we have to meet a driver with 2 cars full of cannabis in the trunks. He's driving one and I'm driving the other. I'm 6 months pregnant. We're not driving them very far, maybe like 2 miles. But we have to deliver them to our truck driver who's going to pick them up and transport them. So I am driving and he calls me on my phone and I answer. He's like, put the phone in your lap. And this is a car I've never driven before. And I'm driving it for the first time. So I put the car on my lap. He's like, put it on speakerphone. So I look down, I put it on speakerphone. I look up, he had stopped because we're caravanning. He's right in front of me. I slam on the brakes. I fucking hit his car.
What?
So now we are in an auto collision with 2 cars full of cannabis. I am 6 months pregnant and he's pissed. He's like, what did you just do? And like his voice changed to like doom. And I was like, oh my God. Because I was trying to mess with the phone and he had called, like I would have been fine if I didn't have to talk to him on the phone, but he wanted to call me while we were driving. And so I had to answer because if I didn't answer, he would have gotten upset. So I'm trying to please him and answer and do all the things with the phone that he's telling me to do. And I'm not paying attention to the road. And we stopped at a stoplight.
Oh my God.
So my heart's now 1,000 miles a minute.
Yeah.
What was the damage like? Was it small or?
The car would barely drive. I was able to force it by like really gunning it because I had messed up the wheel and like the front corner of it. And we got it to the truck. I don't know how, by the grace of God, we got it to the truck, but it was in bad shape. And we are so lucky there was nobody around to see that because obviously
they would have called the cops.
Yes. So I get there and I call his daughter. I'm like, he's going to kill me. And I was certain of it. I'm like, this is the worst thing I've ever done in my life. And she's like, he's not. He's just going to be mad. But I was terrified.
I would be too.
This is what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking, why am I at 6 months pregnant doing this?
Right?
He's going to kill me. Also, a side note, I lost my grandmother a couple months before that. So when I got pregnant, I lost my grandma, who was the closest thing I ever had to a mom. So this family was even more important to me now because my family was getting,
that's awful.
My family was less than 5 fingers. Like it was so small. And so I didn't want to lose them. I was so attached to all of them. His kids, I love them. I just didn't want to lose any of them.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like you've developed a better relationship with them now.
Yeah.
Now, yes, because time had passed and I believe it was because I kept showing up for them and trying to show them my genuine and authentic affection.
Right.
And so anyway, we get through that. He's of course very mad at me, but we get through it. So then we have GPS in all the cars. A couple of days later, this car is taken by federal authorities and searched.
Oh, no.
All the cannabis was found. 80 pounds.
80? Holy shit.
Oh, my God.
I'm still 6 months pregnant. I am looking at this computer screen of the GPS, seeing it in a cop car lot, and I'm like, this is it. I'm going to jail. I'm going to have a baby in jail.
Oh, my God.
That was crazy, but it only gets crazier. I hate to say it, but this was, there's a lot. She has such a story, like a very interesting, unique one. And I'm sure there are people with a lot of questions. So send them to us. You can DM us on any of the platforms at Dating Detectives Podcast. But I really want to hear everybody's thoughts and what you think might happen in part 2, which will come out next Monday. I also just love her. But if you have a story, if this brought anything up for you and you want to share something, or if you have somebody you know who has gone through a Dogfish situation, we're always excited to hear from you and give you a platform if it's something that will help you process your journey. And also, it helps so many other people when you come on. So our email, it's investigate@thedatingdetectivespodcast.com. And you can send us all of your thoughts. Just make sure you put in the subject brief something about the story. Like in this case, it could be like my yoga instructor dogfished me and got me into an illegal drug ring, just the summary. I'm so glad she came on and told us her story. So we're also looking for more men. If there are men who have been dogfished, we haven't had a ton of them, and we would love those stories too. So send them our way. Join Patreon. Give us 5 stars and review wherever you listen to podcasts. We love hearing from you, and it helps us a lot to be able to get this story out to more people. And next week, we're here for you in the meantime. So just 1 week, and then we can hear how it ends. But thank you for listening, and we love you. And I miss Mackenzie, but it's okay. I can do it. I can do the ending. Ready? As always, trust your femtuition. It's not the same, but still good.